Hello, everybody. Welcome to another great episode of Distilled, Brewed, and Reviewed. My name is John. We're in the world-famous Sipping Den. This is where a lot of magic happens. This is where the review is going to happen today. And on this channel, as you know, I'm doing wine today. But I do everything that has anything to do with alcohol. And I do everything that has anything to do with coffee. Because I do so much beautiful stuff, I have put together such a playlist, categorized and subcategorized, that I think when you go into my playlist, you're going to find it fascinating, those categories. You're going to want to click on them. You're going to want to check out some of those videos. I'm convinced of it. It's one of the 7 man-made wonders of the world right there. Now, every video I do, I also pin the first comment because it has a link which pertains to the playlist that pertains to what I'm reviewing. In this case, not only wine, not only red wine, Malbec. I have a whole playlist full of them. Malbado Malbec, 2019. Lujan de Cuyo, Mendoza, Argentina. Look at the label. Enjoy it. Somebody put time and effort into it. 14.5% alcohol by volume. This has a really cool story because this is kind of the wine that wasn't supposed to be. Let's go over it. The wine that wasn't supposed to be. You might not expect it from the name Malbado, to take on Malvado, the Spanish for the evil one. But this is a silky and elegant Malbec. Okay, we're not going to worry about that part. Let me see. The vineyard is high by global standards, but not, or what about average for Mendoza. This wine is made in collaboration with Dona Paula winery. A weird backstory, though. So this winery, the vines are growing in an old Pinot Noir. Now they're growing in an old Pinot Noir vineyard that was planted in 1975, but which turned out to be a bit of a dead loss because production was so low. So in 2000, with the vineyard set to be pulled up, there was a last-ditch attempt to reinvigorate it by cutting off a few vines at the trunk. New shoots grew, but they turned out to be Malbec. So they had the Pinot Noir. It wasn't producing very well. They were going to rip it up, but at the last minute they said, let's just try and see what we can do. We'll cut it off at the base, load it to the ground, and see if it rejuvenates the growth. And when it came back, the Pinot Noir was Malbec. Let me explain. The shoots were so, I cut off trunk, new shoots grew, but they turned out to be Malbec, which had been used as the rootstock for the Pinot Noir. So they grafted Pinot Noir on the rootstock. So when they cut that off, the rootstocks, Malbec. Wow. The shoots were so healthy and vigorous that the next winter, they cut down 12 hectares. These distinctive Malbec vines now produce Malbado, the wine that wasn't, well, the Malbec that wasn't supposed to be. All right. It says here you could do the usual thing and match this to a steak, but I'd go for a filet steak rather than a steak. Just go with meat. It says duck, pork, lamb chops. Here's the deal. Hummus. I always say this. If you drink soda with anything, right? Nothing wrong with soda, but if you're drinking it, there's no wine that can be worse than that. In other words, if you drink soda, whatever meal you drink it with, no matter what wine you substitute the soda with, red, white, blue, rosé, it's going to be better than the soda. So you can't go wrong, right? I had this tonight with a hell of a meal. Okay, I had people coming over, so I made homemade gravy for my spaghetti with some hamburger in it and everything else. I made 2 types of sausages, spaghetti, ravioli, garlic bread, salad. And then I had the olive oil and the garlic and the Parmesan in case you didn't want the red sauce, right? This was the hot pepper, the whole 9 yards. And this was one, I went through 4 bottles, right? This is one of them. And you can see, I don't know if you can see, it's pretty dark, but we took care of it a little bit. And it was very good, that meal. All right. So, pour it in a glass, take a peek at it. Here is your cork, and it is real cork, for those of you that matters. There it is. Look at the rim right up top between the glass and the darker color. And then I know it's moving. And then the dark, very dark purple. And I smell it from here. Ooh, it's got some good stuff. It's got some violet flowers, plum, blackberry, those fruits like that. But I got a nice whiff of earthiness, and I love that when it goes. I don't want all that fruit. I like it. I love that fruit forward, and it makes it, gives you the impression that it's sweet. It's not. It's very dry wine, but I like that old world, which this is not. The old world earthiness. Even got a little Brit smell on it, which I like. It's a fungus, a bacteria. If it's too much, it's terrible. It overtakes the wine, but a little bit is very good. To me, I love that flavor in there. And I'm getting it on here, and you usually don't get it. So, all right. Acclimation sip. Oh, yeah. So, I know if you watch this channel, you'll know what a balanced wine is. A balanced wine is when you have the tannin, that part that dries out the back of your tongue and the roof of your mouth, like a very strong tea produces that. Acid, the acidic part, side of your tongue, makes your mouth water, like when you bite into a lemon. And the fruit forward, you know, where you taste the plum, you taste the blackberry. It fools your mind to think it's sweet a lot of times. You're just getting that fruit. When all 3 of those are in balance, it's called a balanced wine. You need all 3. This is very balanced. Okay, so that the amount of acid and the amount of tannin and the amount of fruit kind of all complements. One, nothing's overbearing. Now, on top of that fruit, which everybody's going to describe as different, right? It's what your brain puts into it. But I'm pretty sure if we had a bunch of people here, most of them are detecting fruit of some sort. As long as you're doing that, you're in the ballpark. I love that Brit. It's got a long name. The actual fungus or bacteria, whatever exactly that is. I can't remember off the top of my head. But that taste, that smell, I like it, see. And that's adding depth to it. Because you got the 3 things, right? Got some tannin. Got the fruit, a lot of fruit forward. The smell, you got floral. You got earthiness on the smell, so a lot going on. And you got the acid and the taste. So everything is a layer. It makes it complex. Everything that it does is more and more complex. Now you got that Brit in there, adding to the floral, to the tannin, to the acidity. The fruitiness. And I can see where you could think of the aftertaste is having a bit of a, and these things kind of all go together. So I think what most people might say on the aftertaste a little bit is leather / leaf, type dried leaves / tobacco, because they all kind of go together, sort of. When people describe those, and that's all to me the same boy, I know what they're talking about. And then to top it off, if that ain't enough, I like this. I usually don't like New World as much as Old World, all right? French wine, But this is very good. And to top it off, I'm getting some spice. Yeah, a little bit of black pepper. This wine, and I'm getting a little more now because before I was having it with a meal. I'd take a bite of sausage and a bite of the red gravy and this and that. And it was a great compliment to that. I mean, it was fantastic. But I wasn't getting little annoyances because, it was a hearty meal. And the fat of the sausage, for example, will always coat the mouth, the tongue, and it will trim down those tannins. So if I was going to, this is good. See, I like this bite. Now, a lot of people might think it's, I don't know. But to me, I could sip this one without, it's bold and everything, but it's up my alley. Tannin's not crazy. It's balanced. 2019. It's young. So what you do with this is you either put it in the canner or you at least put an aerator in there. And when you pour it rough out of the aerator. So you get an aerator plus you're getting, see how it's bubbling up like that? And then if you want, I not only did that, I let it sit out for a good half an hour before everybody. It was sitting there real nice. And it was nice. It softened it up just right. Because this one could be, it's young. So that's it. That's the review. Very good. I recommend it. Now, if you're still here, I'll throw something else in. The cork, when you have a real cork, was only good for certain wines because this cork is in there, right? Tight, but it's not airtight. This is not airtight. So a little bit of air sneaks in, right? A little bit. But that little bit of air is aging it. It's making it better. Some wines it's ruining. Some wines, that little bit of air is maturing it, is breaking it down, is softening those tannins. See, and it's mature. It's not airtight. You don't want it airtight. Now, at some point, that air is going to ruin it. All right, it'll ruin it. It'll make it better. It'll make it better, and then it'll ruin it. A lot of wines, it'll just ruin it. All right, you don't want to cork and everything. Most wines are made to drink right now. Most wines are made to drink with food. Not a whole lot are made to age. Now, this one isn't made to age, 50 years, right? But it's made to 4 years, no. So we force age it by how? By aerating. By putting it in the decanter rough, by putting an aerator in the top and pouring it rough, by letting it sit out a little while. We're kind of rushing that process a little bit. What are the things that make it age? What are the things that make it hold up? Like how are some wines you can age and some wines you can't? Why? Here are some of the things that keep wine from spoiling right away. The tannins. The tannins come from the grape skins, very high in red, and the stems. It's that taste, because everybody's familiar with this. If you have an iced tea or whatever, and it's too strong, way too strong, you get that bitter, whatever taste you want to call it, where it dries out the back of your mouth because the tea's too strong. That's tannin. It's an antioxidant. It's not only good for the wine. That's what's good for you, right? It's good for people, too. It's an antioxidant. Moderation. So, acid is something that preserves a wine, okay? The higher the alcohol content, right, the better for preserving the wine. For example, behind me, this liquor lasts forever. Right? It's 80 proof. So the higher the alcohol, all in combination. And these aren't all together because you're not going to have illegal. And then if you have something that's real sugary, real sweet, sugar helps preserve a wine. So those are the things that help a wine last longer. And then you have a cork and it micro ages. Now, one way to tell if your thing's bad, if you know how you in a restaurant, you don't want to, you're going to smell kind of cork. I mean, I don't know. All I do is I look at it because what I'm looking for, if you see that red, see how it's red and this end is not red because this is the end that was in there. But you see how the red is very small around the rim right there, right? If you see the red coming up, And especially if it comes to the top, then I'll almost guarantee that wine's going to be ruined. It's going to be corked. It's going to be bad. Too much air. It leaked. And it went up too far. This was a nice seal. And so you look at the date, the Malbec, you get an idea. Argentina, 219, that comes. But that's some little tips for you. And that's about it. So I enjoyed it. It was very good. Very good with the meal. This is one that I can sip. I know a lot of people, but it's not just a real tannin bomb or to where it's all bitter and stuff like that. I can actually pick out the fruits, the Brit, right? The flowers are in there real nice. It's balanced. So most reds are definitely, unless they're a blend, even a blend, but are made to be drank with a food. A lot of times the region where it's made, right? The local food. But this one for me is a sipper, especially if you aerate and calm down that the tannin on there. So I hope you enjoyed this. And sub, if you will, please. Do what you can. Help the channel. And I'll keep making them for you. Oh, I'll keep making them. And you know what? You know what? It's free.